learning is fun, who like kids, and who probably like their summers off. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So, I'll just tell you a quick story about how I think learning should be fun. So, before I had this job, this is my second year in this job, I taught at Red Canyon High School in Eagle County. Has anyone ever heard of Red Canyon?
Yeah.
You have. I wouldn't expect you to. It is a very small alternative high school in the Eagle County school system, and we predominantly work with at-risk teenagers. And so I've taught high school for a long time, so I know what high school's like. I know what a challenge it is, and I know especially what a challenge it was for my students who, as alternative students, could actually stay in high school until they were 21, believe it or not. Some people, it just takes a little bit longer, and that was okay with us at Red Canyon. We were just like, keep coming to school. And sometimes our students would come to school and they would sit there and do nothing, but they would come and we would be like, we're so glad you're here, but they wouldn't necessarily do their work. So you know what we would say to them? That's okay, because I'm going to teach English again next quarter. So I'll see you next quarter. And they'd be like, okay, miss, I'll see you next quarter. And so eventually, it would get to be about 17 years old. And you guys are freshmen and sophomores, is that right? Okay, so you're probably not 17 yet. Well, maybe some of them. Okay, 16, can you drive, dude? Kids these days, they don't like to drive like when I was your age, but whatever, good for you, okay? Okay, well, here. So, but back to Red Canyon. So about 17, our students at Red Canyon, they start to get nervous because they really wanted to finish. And they'd come into conferences and they'd say things like, what do I need to do to graduate? And we would say, come to class and do some stuff. Pass your classes. And they would start to get serious about it. So sometimes at our graduations, we would have 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds walk across the stage. But what was so amazing about our graduations is they were so joyful because the whole graduation was, I finished, I did it, I got this, I'm ready, I'm gonna go out into the world now. So as a teacher, to see that kind of joy in students who struggled their entire K-12 career is probably one of the greatest joys you could ask for as a teacher. So, now at Red Canyon, we get to do things a little different. Alternative high school, they give you some leeway. It's not that we don't have the same standards that your teachers do here, same exact standards, but we could do some fun things like create what we call expeditions. So one of my favorite, and remember, I think learning should be fun. This has a lot to do with what teenagers like. Is I would teach a whole class just on horror, like super scary stuff. And we would of course read, but then we would get to watch too. And my students were like, Miss, why can't my regular high school do this? I'm like, look, I can talk about what your other school is doing, but here's what we're doing at Red Canyon. So one year, my principal said, okay, well, yep, you're gonna teach horror again. I'm like, yes, we are. Do you know what the scariest movie was for my students? Okay, The Shining is a little slow, I have to admit. Yeah, it was scary to me, but maybe not. What? No. Think Supernatural. I've seen that one. Think Supernatural. No. Oh, The Ring. I hate that one, but that's a good guess. No, it's The Conjuring. Oh, see, now do that, right? Oh my gosh. I gotta tell you, like I had to practice watching that one at home so I could keep my composure at school. So I'd be sitting there watching The Conjuring at home, and I used to tell my students, I'm like, look, you can't crack jokes, you can't break the tension, don't laugh, there's no laughing. I'm like, you gotta sit there and take it. And they're like, okay. So what I would do that was so mean is I would go to the back of the classroom and I would take my phone out and I'd film the jump scares with all of them. So I'd be waiting, I'm like, oh, it's coming. And then the jump scare would happen and all my students would jump and some of them would verbally scream. And then I would capture it on video and I would say, see, when you study horror and you know what makes things scary, it really works. So, my point, now how many of you would love to be scared to death in the safety of your classroom? I know, right? That's what teenagers do. So, I can't tell But then, my principal said that I could teach a whole class just on Stephen King. And I know, Stephen King is making a huge comeback right now. There's like 3 or 4 movies that have just come out or coming out. So you know what we did for our field trip? I don't expect you to know, I just am asking. Well, it was a field trip, so we went somewhere. So we went to Estes Park, Colorado. Someone said The Shining earlier. We did a tour. Okay, yes. Okay, so we did a ghost tour of the Stanley Hotel at 8 o'clock. It didn't even start until dark, so imagine this. You're on a bus with 30 other kids. It took us 3 hours to get to Estes Park. Nobody vomited on the way there, but that was good, okay? On the way back, I can't say that. But anyway, we get out, we do this ghost tour. They're taking us around the Stanley Hotel at night. We saw paranormal activity. Do you know what that is? I'm telling you, it's awesome. But anyway, we made it there. We think we saw ghosts. We came back. We understood why The Shining was such a great novel that Stephen King wrote. And we learned a lot about the history of the Stanley Hotel. So, my point is that if you think learning is fun, and you like kids, you like having your summer off, you like doing cool stuff that align with the standards, maybe you want to be a teacher, and maybe you want to consider Colorado Mountain College as the place where you want to become an educator, because nobody gets through school without having a teacher, and unfortunately we don't have enough of them in the world right now, so maybe those of you who gave me jazz hands would consider it. Thank you.